Back to the circle. If you're anything like me, you might be wondering, when is the best time to clean the windows? Or should I save my shopper dockets? Well, apparently the answer is in the moon.
It certainly is, Chrissy Swan. According to astrologist Iris Deatonhoff, there are certain tasks one should never attempt when the moon is full. She joins us now to explain the impact the moon has on our lives and how to keep in tune with its flow. Please welcome Iris to the circle. I'd like to start off, because some people at home will be thinking a little bit, yeah, whatever, and keep this quite simple and go back to basic biology. Like all living things, most of us are made up of 90% water.
Between 60 and 85, 90, yeah.
So the moon affects, obviously, the thing that we most relate to is the tides around the world. So how can the moon affect us if we have so much water in our system as well?
If we look at the tides and we see the gravitational pull of the moon, we have the tides coming in and tides going out. And if you look at the moon phases, there is a waxing phase for 2 weeks, from new moon to full moon, and then there is a waning phase from full moon to new moon. In the waxing phase, our bodies and cells are absorbing moisture and also nutrients, minerals, and also stimulants. So for 2 weeks we are absorbing, and our cells are getting very, very full. And after 2 weeks, they are so full with pressure that this is the crisis time we experience at a full moon.
So is that, can I make it really simple? Is that like saying in that phase, the gravitational pull is making our bodies absorb as much fluid as possible, almost like a tide coming in?
Yes, it is precisely like that.
And then halfway through the month, the tide goes out and we lose a lot of moisture.
Does that explain these?
I could talk about nutrition by the moon, because as you just said, the 2 waxing weeks, it's when we're absorbing. So there are some days where we absorb more carbohydrates, there are other days where we absorb more proteins, other days where we absorb more fat.
What phase are we in right now?
At the moment we're in the waning phase, and tomorrow is a new moon in Scorpio.
So waning is tide going out?
It's tide going out.
And from tomorrow the tide's starting to come back in?
That's right. The physical tide, if you...
Physical tide.
Yeah. So at the moment the energy is going out. We are on the out breath, and tomorrow after the new moon we are starting to breathe in again and absorbing.
So let's apply this to everyday life. Let's apply this to planting seeds in our garden, for example.
A lot of gardeners find that if they plant their seeds the week before the full moon, those seeds actually absorbing moisture, and by the time of the full moon they start sprouting. So this is why those plants take off. If you would put the seeds into the ground 2 weeks later, in the last quarter, like at the moment, there is the least energy, those seeds are not absorbing, they lie dormant effectively for a couple of weeks and might either be washed away or be eaten or whatnot. But if you plant or put seeds into the ground the week before the full moon, this is when the natural cycle just takes and they are taking off.
Iris, can I ask you a personal question? Do you spend your life looking up at the sky at night time? Like,
I do.
Part of your life?
Not every night, but I do.
Yeah. So what about more emotional things?
Yeah.
Is there a time when the moon is waxing or waning when you should do things like break up with a boyfriend?
Okay, the breakup thing. The breakup thing is best done when the moon is waning, because you are in the letting go phase. If you actually would be breaking up, say in the first quarter moon, then all the emotions are actually coming in and you are getting more and more intense. So by the full moon you definitely have another crisis.
So you have to continue with the relationship for another week or two just till the moon's in the right state before you break up?
The thing is, you don't have to, but there are always times where it's best to do something, and then there are times where it's worst.
Yes.
Okay?
I've read that it's good to lay floorboards when the moon is waning.
Yeah, that's one of my favourites.
How does that work?
Okay, that's my favourite.
Yeah.
Because floorboards, every cell is absorbing moisture from the surroundings. And in those 2 weeks when the moon is waxing, floorboards would be doing the same. So they are actually expanding slightly.
Yeah.
If you put them in just before full moon, this is when they are effectively the biggest. If you then wait another couple of weeks, they are shrinking because also the floorboards are eliminating, they are releasing the moisture they have absorbed. So in those 2 weeks when it's waning, they are actually shrinking.
Wow.
So effectively you end up with gaps and creeks.
Can you? I know somebody that works in a hospital emergency department, and whenever it's full moon, they have more people coming in, more people with sort of mental episodes, and why is that? Why does it make us crazy? Because I feel it. Do you feel full moon?
Yeah, and I think we've got on that note the 22nd of November and the 6th of December. Are two full moons coming up. Yeah. Why? What does it do to us?
Okay. Now the best way to explain it would be this breathing in as in absorbing and letting go as in eliminating. If we would be breathing in for 2 weeks, like 14 days, by day 14 we are really full and ripe with pressure, and this is the emotional tension that is coming up for everybody. Now, if we have a look at our personal astrology chart, if that full moon is on a very personal point, then this makes it even more intense.
Right.
And just outside, I was talking to one of the ladies, and she told me that she noticed that her sleepless nights, she actually recorded it for a while, they were always around the full moon. And this is really it, because we are just really tense, After that, we start relaxing, like relaxing again, and
I like to be on the wane instead of the wax.
Well,
I can't wait ringing up a guy to lay floorboards in my house and go, do you lay the floorboards when you're waxing or when the moon's waning? And see what the tradesman's going to say.
But that is the best example for guys, because this is when they get it, and it's really plain physics. It's nothing mystic or magical,
And we do have to keep moving because we're running out of time. But on that note, Colin and I were looking at the Biodynamic Agriculture Australia website this morning, because a lot of wineries, biodynamic wineries now, are optimising their growth cycles of the grapes using the lunar cycles of the moon. And there's one in Australia called Bress, who is this amazing awards and won all these fantastic awards for his wine. He says he can't find a machine to riddle his wine as strong as the moon does.
Amazing.
And he's winning all these awards.
I'm so glad to hear that, because this is precisely it. The plants do the same. They are absorbing. They're absorbing the nutrients out of the ground. It's going up into the plant, and the berries, when they are harvested at a full moon, have the most juices, the most nutrition and everything in the berry. So that would make the wine much more tasty.
Yeah,
we love it. Please thank our guest this morning, Iris Degenolf.
Awesome.
And Swanee is holding a very special surprise for our guest audience today. Everyone is taking home a copy of the Moontime Planning Diary.
Everything's in there.
So, Cole, you can plan your floorboards, your wine tasting.
My wine tasting and opening, yes.
Everything around the moon.
And making.
And you're making and breaking up, FYI.
Yes.